Luo Shenqi, a normal 18-year-old boy, was facing the pressure of taking a college entrance test, which seemed like the worst thing in his life. His mother was disappointed in him and considered him a loser, which led him to leave his house and now live alone. However, the truth was that he wasn't truly alone. Upon returning home, Luo called out to someone, indicating his arrival. He put his bag down and unpacked the food he had just bought. As he looked around, he saw his collection of anime girl action figures, which he considered to be his girlfriends. He cherished them as if they were real, even though he knew deep down that in reality, he was just a lonely individual. Feeling frustrated, he laid down and blamed his mother for his miserable situation, believing that his life would have been better if he hadn't been burdened with such a strange name. Just then, the phone rang and Luo picked it up. Shortly after, he received a parcel that contained the brand new Pineapple 11 phone he had ordered a few days ago. Luo was thrilled to finally have a new phone and immediately began transferring his data onto the device. The process was slow, so he fell asleep while waiting. When he woke up, he found himself in a completely dark place, illuminated only by a beam of light and the presence of a beautiful fairy-like girl. Luo couldn't believe what was happening and had no idea how he ended up there. The next morning, Luo woke up and dismissed the events of the previous night as a bad dream. However, to his surprise, he found a mysterious girl in his room. Confused, Luo asked her who she was and why she was there. The girl seemed unfazed and addressed Luo as her master, which made him feel awkward. She, too, was uncertain about how she had come to be in this situation. Politely, Luo asked her to leave his room, and the girl burst into tears, believing that Luo, her master, wanted to replace her with the new smartphone he had bought. Deciding it was best to involve the police, Luo began searching for his old phone, but he couldn't find it. All he had was the new phone. Then, he remembered his dream of a fairy from the previous night and suddenly heard his ringtone, which was coming from the girl. Luo started to suspect that this girl might be his smartphone, an idea that seemed absurd. He accused her of stealing his phone, but instead, she asked if he wanted to answer the call. Luo responded that, of course, he wanted to answer, and the girl unexpectedly kissing him in the process. He pushed her away, but at an unexpected place on her body, making things incredibly awkward between them. It was his first kiss, and it caught him completely off guard. When Luo was younger, he had a strong desire to become a wizard. He dreamed of practicing magic and believed that remaining a virgin for 25 years would grant him that ability. Lost in his thoughts about his magical aspirations, he didn't realize that his mother was on the call with the lady. It was only at that moment that he realized the girl in his room was actually his phone. To his surprise, his mother's voice came out of the girl, and she took on his mother's character. She scolded him and insisted that he help her check out an apartment near his place before ending the phone call. Witnessing the transformation of his phone, Luo concluded that his dream had come true, and he now possessed some kind of superpower. He wondered if his ability was to turn objects into girls and decided to test it by taking one of his dolls, hoping it would transform into a human. Unfortunately, the doll failed to transform, leaving Luo disappointed. He turned to the phone and asked her about certain files on his computer to confirm that she truly was his phone. Surprisingly, she provided the information accurately. Curious, Luo asked for her name after they both sat down. Since she had previously been a phone, she didn't have a name and asked Luo to give her one. Thinking of his favorite female character from an anime, he named her Nikki. Nikki was thrilled to finally have a name given to her by her master. Luo felt an unexpected happiness in his heart. Just as they settled, someone attempted to open the door. Knowing that it could only be his mother with access to the apartment, Luo quickly ushered Nikki into his wardrobe and instructed her to go into standby mode. He closed the wardrobe and went to open the door for his rather young mother. Luo's mother noticed his flustered appearance and questioned him about it. Trying to cover up his unease, he quickly fabricated a lie, claiming he was getting dressed and had just woken up. However, his growing awkwardness caught his mother's suspicion. She sniffed the air, detecting a lingering fragrance of a girl. Panicking at the thought of being caught, Luo hastily lied, attributing the scent to his laundry detergent. Relief washed over him as he realized Nikki, his hidden companion, remained safely concealed. That is, until he noticed one of her shoes positioned just outside the wardrobe where he had stashed her. Desperate to avoid any potential discovery, Luo stealthily attempted to retrieve the shoe, as its presence would be difficult to explain. Unfortunately, his actions did not go unnoticed, and he was caught in the act. Hastily, he knelt in front of the wardrobe, concealing the shoe behind him, aware that he had aroused suspicion. His mother, sensing that something was amiss, seized one of his beloved dolls and flung it against the opposite wall. Instinctively, Luo lunged to catch and protect the doll, momentarily forgetting about his hidden secret. As he turned around, he found his mother holding the shoe, demanding an explanation. The situation escalated further when Nikki's clothing became entangled between the wardrobe door and the room's entrance, compelling Luo's mother to open the wardrobe and finally discover her presence. Instead of lashing out in anger, she burst into tears, urging Luo to be a responsible man. She had misunderstood the situation entirely. Attempting to clarify the truth, Luo struggled to explain, but his mother refused to listen. After all, Luo had never been involved with a girl before, and now he had brought home a cute girl like Nikki. In a bid to defend her master, Nikki pleaded with Luo's mother, insisting that she had not been kidnapped, contrary to her initial suspicions. Addressing Luo as master, his mother presumed that Nikki was using him and contemplated sending him to an asylum. Thinking quickly, Luo resorted to yet another lie, claiming that Nikki was his girlfriend, an explanation that his mother surprisingly accepted. Before leaving, Luo's mother reminded him of a task she had previously assigned him regarding their neighbor. Engaging in a brief conversation with Nikki, she departed, but not without tossing a pack of contraceptives at her son, causing him to blush intensely. Feeling embarrassed by his mother's behavior, Luo threw the pack of contraceptives away, but Nikki noticed it. Curiously, she picked it up and attempted to eat it, prompting Luo to intervene swiftly and take it away from her. He explained that it was something she couldn't consume. Intrigued, Nikki asked what it was, but Luo hesitated, believing it best to keep such information from her. As hunger gnawed at Luo's stomach, he realized that he hadn't eaten anything since the previous night and needed to satisfy his hunger. Deciding to prepare some cup noodles, he suddenly heard hunger noises emanating from Nikki's stomach. Puzzled by this occurrence, as Nikki was merely a smartphone, Luo became intrigued. Curiosity piqued, Luo asked Nikki if she had transformed into a human form and if it would be safe to feed her. With politeness, he requested that she open her mouth so he could examine. Reluctantly, Nikki complied, and Luo leaned in to inspect. Though inexperienced with girls, he managed to overcome his awkwardness and examined her mouth, coming to the realization that Nikki possessed a human body, complete with organs, enabling her to eat real food. Recognizing this as a perfect opportunity, Luo gathered all the food he had purchased and offered Nikki a variety of choices. Impressed by her master's gesture, Nikki was delighted. Among the options, Luo presented tasty chips, but Nikki surprised him by choosing a packet of steamed buns, leaving Luo feeling somewhat awkward since it was a more decent choice. Nonetheless, Luo allowed her to indulge, but quickly corrected her when she attempted to chew on the packet itself, explaining the need to open it first. Finally, Nikki had the chance to savor the food, and she immediately found it enjoyable. Delighted by her response, Luo encouraged her to eat as much as she desired, assuring her that there were no restrictions. Pondering on Nikki's preferences, Luo thought about offering her some jelly when suddenly, a bright light emitted from her, and Nikki transformed back into a smartphone. Luo felt anxious when Nikki transformed back into a smartphone. He wanted her company and was determined to uncover the truth behind these transformations. He recalled that Nikki first transformed when he woke up from sleep. If his theory held true, the transformations occurred around midnight. Checking the time, he realized that midnight was approaching, so he decided to test his power by going to sleep. As he lay in bed, Luo realized that he wasn't actually tired anymore and couldn't fall asleep. This posed a problem as he needed to sleep to test his ability. He contemplated going outside and exercising to tire himself out, but he didn't like that idea. His attention shifted to a box of tissue paper, considering a different kind of exercise. But when he saw his smartphone, his interest changed, and he changed his mind. With the need to do something to help him sleep, Luo picked up one of his dolls and decided to sleep with it. Suddenly, as he opened his eyes, he was shocked to see a completely different and beautiful girl calling him master. Luo had successfully transformed something this time, and it was his blanket. He quickly checked the time on his smartphone, and it was past midnight, confirming his theory that the transformations occurred around that time. The girl asked Luo if he was sleepy and offered to help him fall asleep. She embraced him, trying to lull him to sleep, leaving Luo feeling unsure of how to react. The girl, despite her innocent appearance, displayed inner strength as she returned to bed, ready to sleep even though Luo was not yet prepared. Meanwhile, Luo sat on his bed, deep in thought about his power. He felt somewhat deceived since his power was limited by time and he couldn't use it at will. Luo had intended to transform Nikki, but he had miscalculated. The blanket girl woke up to find him in tears and questioned why he was crying. Instead of feeling sadness or negative emotions towards his words, she smiled warmly and embraced him from behind. pressing her body against his, causing him to blush. Once again, she invited him to come and sleep, but Luo quickly declined. She thought he now disliked her appearance. Luo explained to her that she had transformed into a girl, and they couldn't sleep together anymore. She returned to the bed and simply asked him to come and sleep. Luo obliged and got into bed. While lying down, he confirmed to her that she didn't have a name yet. He decided to name her Beijing because she had transformed into a blanket. A sense of connection began to grow between them, and Beiji mentioned that it might be because he didn't beat her like her mother. Luo explained that she was referring to the act of folding and beating dust out, which he was too lazy to do. Beijing asked him to promise that he would never beat her, and he willingly made the promise. They soon settled back into bed, with Beijing clinging onto him tightly. Luo wondered how he would manage to sleep in that position with her body pressed against his. Suddenly, the light appeared once again, and Beijing transformed back into a blanket. Luo wondered why the time limit was so short this time, and why it left him feeling extremely exhausted, causing him to collapse. When he woke up at daybreak, he was still tightly clutching onto the blanket. He went to the bathroom and contemplated what would happen if it struck midnight while he was in there. He realized that his right hand was the trigger for his power, and it didn't seem to work on any other part of his body. He wondered if it had any effect on living things. While preparing his breakfast, he sat down to eat and noticed that the neighboring apartment, which had been vacant for a long time, was now making a lot of noise. Suddenly, he remembered the task his mother had given him, which he had completely forgotten. He left his food and went outside to investigate. There, he saw a group of movers and greeted them before returning back inside. He hadn't expected to have a new tenant next door. Soon after, Luo heard a commotion inside his house, and a cat appeared in front of him. He gently patted the cat, and wondered where it came from. A high school student approached, searching for the cat named Coffee. She apologized for the cat's intrusion and explained that they had just moved in, resulting in some morning chaos. She was the new tenant who had recently moved in. In a rush to get to school, she pleaded with Luo to take care of her cat, to which he agreed. Expressing her gratitude, she thanked him before hurrying off to school. Luo felt quite excited as he had always wanted to be a person who owned a cat. Luo selected a stuffed cat for Coffee to play with. Coffee showed immense love for the stuffed cat, cuddling and playing with it non-stop. Soon, Luo called it dinner time, and Coffee eagerly rushed to its food. It seemed quite hungry, and after eating, it licked its paws clean. Luo found Coffee's actions incredibly cute and became engrossed in watching it. Suddenly, Coffee started behaving oddly, and Luo realized it needed to use the litter box. He provided a box for Coffee, imagining how such an adorable cat could produce something so smelly. He quickly disposed of the waste. Taking care of a pet proved to be tiring, and Luo gradually felt his energy draining. He pondered whether his power could transform living beings as well. The idea of having a cat girl, especially one in a maid's uniform, seemed appealing to him. He decided to give it a try and planned to transform Coffee into a girl at midnight. Luo set his alarm for 11:59 p.m., eagerly anticipating the transformation. However, he wondered why the girl hadn't returned yet, considering it was already late. When the alarm went off, he called Coffee to him in order to initiate the transformation. As Coffee made its way to Luo, it slipped and tripped on the stuffed cat, sending it flying. In an attempt to catch the stuffed cat, Luo instinctively touched it with his right hand, which immediately transformed it into a girl. The cat girl, complete with a tail, expressed gratitude to Luo for allowing them to stay in his home. She noticed Luo was looking at her tail consistently, so she asked him if he's looking at her tail. Luo couldn't believe his eyes as he gently touched his cheek to make sure the girl standing in front of him was real. To his amazement, she began making cute noises, and he couldn't help but smile. Patting her head gently, he praised her, calling her a good girl. Curiosity sparked within him, and he wondered what he should call her. With a shy smile, the girl revealed that her name was Mimi, just like the girl next door he had met the day before. Luo's eyes were drawn to Mimi's adorable floppy ears, and he couldn't resist the urge to touch them. Nervously, he asked if it was okay to do so. Mimi nodded happily, assuring him that she loved being patted. Encouraged by her response, Luo carefully reached out to touch her ears. He decided to explore further and gently reached for her tail. However, the moment he touched it, Mimi let out a sudden scream and clung to Luo tightly. Tearfully, she explained that her tail was sensitive and shouldn't be touched that way. Luo quickly understood and apologized for his mistake, reassuring Mimi that he didn't mean to hurt her. Suddenly, growling noises emerged from Mimi's stomach, indicating her hunger. Worried, Luo asked if she was hungry. Determined to help, he prepared a glass of milk and some food for her, urging her to eat. At first, Mimi seemed hesitant, unsure of how to approach the food. But then, like a playful cat, she started lapping up the milk. This behavior puzzled Luo, and he gently stopped her, reminding her that she was now a human and should eat like one. Wanting to guide her, Luo scooped Mimi up onto his lap and began teaching her how to eat properly. However, their lesson was interrupted when Mimi accidentally hurt her finger, and tears welled up in her eyes. Reacting quickly, Luo tried to comfort her. Tenderly, he took her injured finger and gave it a gentle kiss, hoping to ease her pain. Mimi felt strange when Luo sucked her finger, but he quickly fixed it by putting a bandage on it. Afterwards, Luo got tired and lay down on his bed. Meanwhile, Mimi started playing with the cat, and together they made a big mess in Luo's apartment. When Luo noticed the cat trying to destroy his computer, he immediately caught both Mimi and the cat. He reminded Mimi that she was now a talking cat and asked her to explain what was going on. Mimi tried to be cute, but Luo told her that wouldn't work on him. While they were talking, the cat managed to escape and climbed onto Luo's desk, giving him a mean look. To make things worse, the cat had taken control of one of Luo's favorite action figures and threw it. Luo quickly jumped to catch it, but the cat jumped onto his face, causing some pain. Luo was hurt, but then Mimi got excited and told him that her master was back. Luo immediately got up. He reminded Mimi that she was now in her human form and that he would handle the situation to avoid complications. Luo opened the door, and suddenly, the girl next door fell into his arms. As the girl shared her tiredness from caring for her sick friend all day, she stumbled and fell. Luo, concerned for her well-being, advised her to be cautious and not wander around at night. However, her comment about him acting like her dad caught him off guard, making him feel a bit nervous. Curious about her missing cat, the girl asked Luo about its whereabouts and if she could have it back right away. Just then, Coffee, the cat, walked out of the room, and a sense of relief washed over Luo as the girl happily reunited with her feline companion. Wanting to offer her something more, Luo asked if she would like to keep the fake cat toy as well. To his surprise, she declined, saying he could throw it away if he wanted to. With those words, she bid farewell and left the room. In a rush of emotions, Luo returned to his own room, where he found Mimi in a distressing state. Without hesitation, he reached out and embraced her tightly. Mimi expressed her gratitude for his care, but then she revealed a heart-wrenching truth. She was gradually losing her energy. And just like that, before Luo's eyes, Mimi transformed back into a toy. Overwhelmed by a profound sense of helplessness, Luo grappled with the realization that when an owner no longer cherished an object, it would eventually fade away. Tears streamed down his face as he mourned the loss of his dear companion, feeling the weight of their connection slipping away. Luo wakes up but finds no one else besides him in the room. The morning sunrise activates him, and he immediately grabs a notebook and starts writing down all the rules he knows about his weird superpower. He writes many rules, like there's a time limit, which he doesn't know yet, and the object will disappear if the master no longer wants it. Luo decides that he will bring back Nikki first because he wasn't ready to face Mimi yet, so Nikki would be the best option. He patiently waits for midnight, and when the clock strikes, he touches his old smartphone. And with a burst of light, he summons Nikki back, who immediately grabs him. Nikki was happier than ever after seeing her master again. She sits on Luo's stomach, and he tries to explain to her that she should step down. After successfully summoning Nikki, Luo goes to take a pee, but Nikki follows him to the bathroom, and she asks if he needs her to do something for him. Luo nervously refuses and tells her to be careful. She agrees and calls him master again. Luo tells her that she can't call him master all the time and that there should be a change because he wants to go on a date with her. Confused, Nikki asks Luo what a date is, and excited Luo explains that a date is a thing that happens between two people who live near each other, and they both could go on a date together. Nikki gets happy and reveals she would like to go on a date with Luo, and Luo immediately gets an idea. He orders her to call him brother from now on. Nikki agrees and calls Luo brother, and Luo feels good about it. Luo took Nikki with him for a date and they enjoyed themselves a lot. Luo bought Nikki a balloon when she demanded. Nikki suddenly noticed something in distance and asked Luo what is it. Luo noticed that it's a tofu shop and he felt bad even from thinking about it. Lu suggested that they should eat something else and Nikki agreed because she would eat anything her master will. The both continued to enjoy their day and Luo was extremely happy that he finally was dating a beautiful girl. Suddenly a girl approached both of them. She first praised both of them, which was evident that she was trying to sell something to Luo. She had a box of jewelry and Nikki noticed the box, and when she saw a lot of shining jewelry, she desires to have one of those. Luo thought that girls have a soft heart for the jewelry and shining objects, and Nikki is just like a girl now, so it is normal. Luo decided that he will buy a ring for the Nikki, and he asked the seller girl how much one ring cost. The girl was waiting for this perfect moment. She explained to Luo that the ring is pretty expensive at 250, but she is willing to reduce the price because they are a lovely couple. Luo knew she was obviously lying and trying to take money from him. Nikki took one ring and tried it. She asked Luo if it's good and Luo said she is looking good. The seller girl, however, explained to her that she is wearing it in wrong finger because the ring she is wearing in it is used when one get married. This immediately made Luo blush because the thought that he will marry a beautiful girl like Nikki was too much for him to handle. Luo decided that he will buy one ring, and the moment he gave money to that girl, she ran away without a trace. It happened so fast that Luo failed to understand what's happening, and then Nikki reminded him that the girl didn't return Luo his money. Luo then realized he got scammed and the girl ran away. They both tried to chase her down but failed terribly to find even a trace of her, but the time they got tired and stopped. They had arrived at a completely unfamiliar location. Nikki inquires of Luo as to their origin. Luo quickly changes the subject and tells her that they are leaving, but suddenly Nikki notices someone she knows from Luo's place. She tells Luo about it, and when he looks around, he sees his mom and dad in public. And this immediately makes him nervous because he doesn't want his parents to see that he has brought a girl with him to such a place. He immediately grabs Nikki's hand and rushes to hide somewhere. They both hide in a hotel room so that Luo's parents don't see them. Luo then goes to meet the receptionist and asks if 2 rooms are available. The receptionist understands the situation and tells him that there's only one free room left, and having no other choices, Luo agrees to take it, but he fails to realize what's happening. Luo and Nikki get in the elevator, and Luo feels a little skeptical about the whole situation. They finally arrive at their room. Luo opens the door, and what he sees shocks him. He sees the whole room decorated with romantic things and having a heart-shaped bed. It was a room specially made for a couple. Nikki instantly loved the room and rushed towards the bed. Luo was feeling shy and embarrassed just after seeing the room. He couldn't believe he was in such a room with a beautiful girl. Nikki noticed his red face and asked him what was wrong with him. Luo told her that there's nothing to worry about and that he's just sweaty. Luo nervously turns on the air conditioner, and Nikki then suggests that he take a shower if he's feeling hot. Nikki points towards the transparent bathroom, and Luo feels even more embarrassed seeing the transparency of it. Luo felt embarrassed about showering in front of Nikki. He told her that he will shower once he is home and doesn't wish to shower in the hotel. Nikki felt skeptical because that's not how Luo used to behave back then. Luo realizes what she meant because she was his smartphone and saw him all the time, including when he was in the bathroom or when he used to cry after watching this movie. Basically, Luo knew he had no privacy, and he felt embarrassed about it, but Nikki promised him that she would not tell his secrets to anyone. They both lay down on the bed and waited for something. Suddenly, Nikki speaks. Nikki tells Luo that she wishes to be the only one with him, and he wants her brother to be exclusive with her. Luo feels shy after hearing this. He thought Nikki had some strong feelings for her. Nikki then shocks him more by saying that she wants him to kiss her, and she slowly moves forward to get a kiss. Luo was nervous and sweaty because he had no idea what he should do. They both get close to each other to kiss, but suddenly the time runs out, and Nikki tells Luo that. After a sudden burst of light, Nikki transforms back into a smartphone, and Luo is once again left alone. After Nikki transforms back, Luo returns to the receptionist to tell her that he wants to check out. But the receptionist gets confused and asks where the girl that he came up with is. This question made Luo nervous, and he jokingly said that the receptionist would believe him if he told him that the girl had transformed. Luo tried to handle the situation by saying that the girl had already left. But the receptionist wasn't convinced because he had been sitting there the whole time and hadn't seen her coming. Luo somehow managed to get himself out of the situation, and he vowed to never return to such a place again. Luo returned to his house and began writing down all the findings. He experimented with his power on various things and concluded that his power doesn't work on natural things like water, and he also can't transform things if his hand is covered with bandages. Later, Luo was browsing the internet when he stumbled upon a post. Apparently, the post was created by the same girl who sold Luo's ring yesterday, and in the post, the girl mentioned that she by mistake sold an important ring to a random man alone yesterday, and now she wishes to find that man. She shared the details, such as that the man was over 170 centimeters tall and handsome and alone. Luo didn't understand why she mentioned he was alone because, if he remembers correctly, he was with Nikki at that time. To learn the truth, Luo returned to that same place, and after a while, he finally found the same seller girl, and she immediately noticed him too. She demanded the ring, and Luo immediately returned it. After returning the ring, Luo asked for a favor. He asked her if she was certain that he was alone yesterday. The girl confirmed that he was indeed alone yesterday, and she remembers everything correctly. This was a shocking reveal for Luo, and now his doubts have increased more than ever. He rushed to the same hotel where he and Nikki spent their time. He met up with the receptionist and asked him to show CCTV footage because he might have forgotten his luggage here. The receptionist did so, and in the footage, it was clearly visible that Luo was completely alone and that there was nobody else besides him. Luo then asked him if he saw a girl with him yesterday, and the receptionist refused because he remembered Luo being completely alone, and such a weird question angered him a bit. Luo showed his anger and decided not to ask him any more questions because it might anger him further. He returned home, took a shower, and wondered about what was happening. He thought that the memories of everyone about the girl vanished once the girl disappeared, but that didn't affect Luo. He then tried to grab his underwear, and suddenly the light appeared, and he accidentally transformed his underwear into another girl. As soon as Luo kicked the girl out of his bathroom, she instantly appeared in front of him again. However, Luo was completely naked, which made him feel incredibly embarrassed and exposed. The girl laughed at his predicament and teasingly told him that she had already seen his private parts before. Feeling mortified, Luo hastily ushered her out of the bathroom. Afterward, Luo wrapped himself in a towel and stepped out of the bathroom. He noticed that the girl was standing on the balcony, gazing at something intently. He approached her and asked what she was doing. To his surprise, the girl asked Luo what it was like to go outside. The question seemed peculiar to Luo, but he patiently listened as the girl started sharing her problems. She explained that she never got to experience the outside world because she was always hidden beneath other clothes or confined within Luo's pants. She expressed a deep longing to witness the world beyond and asked if Luo would allow her to be outside, even if only for a short while, just to breathe in the fresh air. Luo couldn't help but imagine a scenario where he openly showcased his underwear to others, and the thought was both unsettling and haunting. Luo declined her request, stating that she was just in underwear, and he couldn't allow such a thing to happen. However, the girl didn't give up easily. She persistently pleaded for her freedom, insisting that she be granted a chance, even if it was only for a single moment. After being faced with her continuous requests, Luo eventually agreed, albeit with a sense of unease. The girl's face lit up with joy upon hearing Luo's agreement, and she impulsively kissed him on the cheek, causing him to blush with shyness. Determined, she took hold of Luo's hand, eager to take him outside. While the girl was filled with excitement, Luo couldn't help but feel nervous, realizing that he wasn't wearing much clothing. The girl took Luo outside, and she was excited to visit the outside world. Luo was a little nervous, but he managed. She reminded him that Luo is usually very fast, and he should keep his energy the same now. Luo was struggling to keep up with the energy of the girl, and then he suddenly remembered that he hadn't given her a name yet. He thought of a name and came up with Gray, which is like her appearance. He calmly asked her if the name Gray is suitable for her, and the girl said she doesn't care because a name is just a name and is not important. Luo then decided that he would call her Gray from now on. Gray noticed a vending machine and asked Luo what it was. Luo explained that it's a vending machine that is used for selling drinks. He then asked her if she would like a drink. Gray initially hesitated as she was not interested in drinking, but Luo still bought 2 drinks. They both then sat down on the bench under the light and began to drink. They were both at peace and enjoying themselves, and then suddenly Gray asked him something. She told Luo that she is enjoying the outside world a lot and would like to spend the entire night outside. Luo immediately refused her request because, according to him, it was pointless as during the night the weather would get cold and they might get sick. Still, Gray did not want to hear anything, and she was persistent in trying to convince Luo. But for Luo, just the thought of him being in underwear outside was out of the question, and he continuously refused her request. The next morning, some people found Luo sleeping on a bench hugging an underwear. They asked Luo why he was sleeping outside like that, and Luo immediately realized what had happened and felt embarrassed. Luo returned to his house and began to read the comic books to pass the time. While reading, he was still thinking about his special superpower, but he was unsure how useful it was because he hadn't used it for anything good yet. He thought that his power might be upgraded soon, and he would be able to summon mecha and sailor uniform girls. The thought of upgrading his power was very exciting for him. But then Luo realizes that summoning such girls might require a huge amount of his strength, and this is indeed an awkward superpower. Suddenly, Luo heard some noises outside his window. When he looked outside, he saw 2 suspicious men around a car, and Luo thought they might be planning to do something, so he must go down. Both of them were thieves, and they were planning to open the car forcefully. Luo comes down and carefully begins to watch what both thieves are doing. He then pulled out his smartphone, but then he realized it might be too late to call the police now, so he must do something on his own. He then gets an idea and he throws his smartphone away. The smartphone then immediately transforms into Nikki and she falls upon one of the thieves. Later, both thieves get arrested by the police. Luo returns and sees the news of their arrest online, where one of the thieves tells the reporter that a smartphone transformed into a girl and fell upon him, but nobody believes their claims. Luo felt that he had finally done some food work with his superpower and his pride increased. Nikki then asked him if she could remove her clothes, but Luo immediately refused, stating that she is a girl and a girl can't remove her clothes so easily. Nikki tried to explain that it's too hot, and he also asked Luo if there are clothes that might cool her down, as Luo studied female fashion. Luo understood her and asked her if she would like to go swimming. Luo and Nikki arrived at the beach, ready to enjoy a swim. Nikki's face lit up with happiness as she saw the large crowd of people gathered there. Just then, a mysterious woman approached them, offering to sell them swimsuits. Intrigued, Luo and Nikki followed her to her shop, where she began showcasing the different swimsuit options. Luo and Nikki looked at the swimsuits, but Luo felt that they were too revealing for his taste. He preferred something more modest and normal. The seller woman then presented them with some old-fashioned swimsuits, but Luo found them too outdated and suited for older people. However, he eventually came across a swimsuit that was perfect for Nikki. It struck a balance between being neither too bold nor too old-fashioned. Deciding to buy the swimsuit for Nikki, Luo encouraged her to try it on. As Nikki changed into the swimsuit, Luo couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement, resulting in a nosebleed. He couldn't deny how cute Nikki looked in the swimsuit, and Nikki happily accepted his compliment. With their swimsuits on, they were ready to jump into the water and have fun. However, their plans were interrupted by the sudden appearance of a mysterious girl who stood before them, seething with anger. She called Luo a heartless brat, leaving both Luo and Nikki taken aback and confused. Luo then suddenly recognized that girl as Xin Zaiaolan. Xin was angry that Luo forgot about her so quickly, but Luo immediately recognized her as her childhood friend. Xin was a little angry and jealous to see Luo get a girlfriend. She confronted him directly by asking why he has a younger girl as a girlfriend who calls her brother, and when she confessed to him, he rejected her. Luo had no idea what she was talking about, but then suddenly past memories flashed before his eyes, and he remembered how he and Xin used to spend a lot of time together when they were younger. And one day Xin confessed to him about marrying him, but Luo rejected her, stating she was only his sister. Luo defended himself by saying that they were just kids back then and not mature. Xin then introduced herself to Nikki, and they both got friendly very quickly. Xin told Nikki that she could always tell her if Luo ever bullied her, but Nikki assured him that Luo is a good guy and will never bully her. Xin couldn't understand why Nikki respected guys like Luo so much, and suddenly her friend arrived there and began to call her. Before she could leave, she warned Luo that if he ever tried to hurt Nikki, she wouldn't forgive him. After warning Luo, she left. Later, Nikki told Luo how popular he is with girls, and she also had a desire for something. Luo then asked her if she wished to become her girlfriend, and Nikki told him she wanted to from the bottom of her heart but couldn't. And after saying that, she transformed back into a smartphone, leaving Luo alone. Luo promised that he would wait for her. Next day, when Luo was sleeping, his phone rang as his mom was calling him. When Luo picked the phone, his mother snapped on him for being sleepy and lazy. She reminded him that she needs his help and he must come down here immediately. Luo nervously picked himself up and went straight to meet her mother. Luo's mother needed help with her car and Luo began to check the car. He asked his mother why is she changing her car because the current car was her favorite. His mother explained that her car is of no use anymore and doesn't work. Luo looked into the possible problems of car and he also asked his mother why she hasn't got new spare parts. The mother got angry and told him that she already visited many repair center but nobody agreed to fix the car as it was beyond repair now. And that's why she is here. Luo understood what the situation is and how he must overcome this problem. He immediately asked his mother to go and rest and he will take care of the situation here. After his mother left, Luo decided that he will take a risk and thus he used his superpower on the car and transformed it into a girl. The car girl summoned and she was immediately recognized Luo as the idiot son of her master. Luo felt embarrassed but he was also glad that his power worked. He also noticed that the car girl's voice is not alright and that could be the result of her bad condition. He then gave her water to drink by explaining that she can't drink gasoline in her human form so she should switch to water. The girl drank water, coughed blood and some machine parts. Luo thought that this was the problem with her all along. The girl mentioned that she is feeling much better now and she thanked Luo for helping her, and Luo was glad too that he was able to help her. The girl then shocked Luo by offering him to sit on her lap. Luo immediately refused her offer because she was not in car form anymore and was a human now. The girl Car becomes skeptical and thought that Luo is hating her because of her age, but Luo cleared her doubt that it is not like that. The girl then asked him if he has any idea how long she is with his family, and Luo began to remember that it's about 14 years because he was only 4 when his family bought the car. The girl agreed and reminded him that in few months she will be 15 and then she will be scrapped, which is unfair as she served his family faithfully. But her end is waiting for her, so she has a request for him. Luo asked him what the request is, and the girl explained she wants Luo to play with her before she die. Luo felt nervous because he had a new driving license, but he was not confident in his driving skill, and he feared some accident. Luo needed help, so he switched his smartphone and asked Nikki if she's there, and Nikki confirmed. Luo then asked her to check the validity of the car, and after a while Luo happily explained to the car girl that new rules state that car can be saved even after 15 years if the maintenance is proper. The girl was happy hearing it. Luo even said to her that he can even transform her if needed, and the girl thanked him for his help, but she kept calling him the idiot son. Suddenly Luo felt something and he began to lose his consciousness, and next time he opened his eyes he was still at the garage. But the girl was transformed back into a car, and suddenly his mom arrived there. And she got angry when she found him being lazy, but Luo explained that he has already fixed her car, and his mom couldn't believe her idiot son could do such thing. Luo then asked her if she is going to buy a car, why don't she give the old one to him so he could improve his driving skills, and his mom had no problem with it, and she agreed, stating that it's alright, especially if now her son has a girlfriend, and this immediately shocked Luo, and he asked her if she remembers Nikki. Luo's mom got angry because she thought Luo is doubting her memory, and she angrily replied that she remembers everything correctly. Luo tried to calm down her by saying that he will bring his girlfriend when he will come to meet grandparents next time. After saying it, Luo took the car and left. While in the car, he began to wonder why some people don't remember Nikki but his mother do. What could be the reason for this situation? Could it be that his mother is related to him by blood and she could feel the effect of high superpower too? There were a lot of doubts but no answers. Suddenly he stopped his car when he noticed something. He come out of the car and show a cute little cat alone and abandoned with the trash. Luo noticed that the cat is injured and someone probably had abandoned the cat, so someone else will pick it up. One more thing, he noticed that this cat looked just like Mimi and it couldn't be a coincidence. Luo finally made the decision and decided to adopt the cat and pick it up. Later he returned home with the cat and put bandages on the injuries of the cat. Slowly the cat blended into the life Luo and become very close with others. One day Luo asked Nikki if she would like to go with him to buy something from supermarket, but Nikki refused because she did not want to leave Mimi alone as it could get scared. Luo then noticed Blanket Princess is very friendly with the Mimi too, and he felt little jealous that the cat is getting all the attention. Later when Luo was checking his computer, he realized that he need to check his exam. The thought made him worried and anxious. Suddenly the cat jumped towards him and ripped apart his hand bandage, which made Luo accidentally transform his mouse into a girl. The mouse transformed into a girl, and suddenly the girl kicked Luo away when he tried to press her. She was not friendly like the other girls he summoned, and Luo immediately recognized the mistake he has done, but now he had to live with it. First thing Luo thought was to name the new girl, but the girl was not interested into a name and was speaking into a different language. Luo didn't use his brain much and decided to name her Mousy. He offered her that he can help her into seeing herself, and she had no idea how one can see one's appearance. Luo wanted her to get down from the table, so he told her to check her appearance by looking into the mirror that is inside wardrobe. The girl wanted to see how she looked, so she got down and began to walk towards the wardrobe, and at that moment Luo remembered that he still need to check exam result, which he can do without a mouse. He began to wonder what he should do now, but then he realized that Nikki was able to call someone even in her human form, so there's a chance that Mousy would still be able to perform the task. He found Mousy trying to lift her clothes in front of the mirror, and he immediately stopped her from doing so and told her that she can't do such thing in front of a boy, and Mousy teased him for his reaction. Luo then began to analyze her small human appearance and begin to think if she will able to perform required task. She then began to get worried and asked Luo if he is a lolicon, and her appearance has excited him. Luo explained to her that there's no such thing, but he still need help from her because he wants to check his exam result. Mousy then reminded him she is very tired because how Luo continuously presses her during video games. She agreed to help him, but with one condition, that he will give her a massage before she help him. Luo felt embarrassed just thinking about massage. Mousy was still persistent as she demanded a message by saying she had served him so much and now it was his turn to pay back. Luo tried to explain to her that he has no problem massaging her, but it's just that boys and girls shouldn't be that close to each other and it will be appropriate. Mousy completely ignored his logic and called him a pervert for his thinking. Luo realized it was a hopeless case and that he must fulfill the request. He wasn't sure if his technique was correct because he had only ever massaged his grandparents and his mother, and he didn't know if his technique was correct. Mousy then lay down, and Luo began to perform massages on her. He started by gently pressing the body of Mousy, but suddenly he accidentally touched her leg, which made her scream. She immediately told him not to touch her in such a place and that it was perverted behavior. The whole massage session was awkward as Luo continuously tried to touch Mousy in the wrong places to tease her, and finally, after a while, Luo sat down to check his result. Mousy asked him to use her head as the mouse, and then he would be able to check the result. Luo did as she asked, and he was very nervous about it. He checked his result and saw that he passed. He immediately burst into happiness, as now he won't have to repeat a grade and his mom won't be angry with him. Mousy failed to understand why Luo was celebrating if he passed by such a thin margin. Luo stood before a very important task he must do, which was the summer homework. He was scared, but he still sat down to study. After a while, his head started to hurt as he couldn't do his homework anymore. He saw his cat and felt jealous because of how different their lives were. He began to think of a way he could do his homework. And suddenly an idea came into his mind. Transform his pen into a girl who would be able to do his homework. Luo remembered how the teacher in the past used to make fun of him and how he was never a good student. But things can change now. He remembered the pen he was going to transform was given to him by someone special, so he removed his bandages and used his power to transform his pen into a girl. The pen girl appeared, and Luo felt that finally he would be able to do his homework. The girl called Luo a weird name, but he didn't mind it. She then asked him about her name, and Luo felt good because it was the first time that someone was interested in the name. Luo then named her Lamy, but the girl wasn't happy as she realized it was just the name of a pen brand and unoriginal. She then asked him why he had transformed her into a human. Luo then told her his problem and demanded help with the homework. Lamy carefully listened to his request, but she refused. Luo then persisted in convincing her, and finally she agreed, but only on one condition. Luo awkwardly asked her what the request was, and Lamy had no idea. She told him that she has nothing on her mind right now, but she will tell him when the time is right. Lamy agreed, but she told him that she would only teach him to do the homework, and this wasn't something Luo wanted to hear. He reminded her that she is his pen and must obey everything he says, and she will have to do her entire homework. Lamy suddenly summoned a ruler, and she hit Luo gently with it, reminding him that she is now his teacher, and if he doesn't obey her, things could go wrong for him, and he will have to do homework now. Nervous Luo agreed with what she said. They then sat down and began to solve problems, and after a while, Luo was done with most of his homework, and he thanked Lamy for it. Lamy then got up and went to bed to test, while Luo still had to do biology homework, which was his favorite subject. Luo began to solve problems, but he couldn't. He was suddenly struggling to do homework, and he realized he still needed help. He went up to wake up Lamy and asked her to help with homework. She asked him about biology being his favorite subject and how he was struggling. Luo had no idea why it was happening, and suddenly Lamy flipped Luo into the bed. And when Luo asked her what she was doing, she told him that she was teaching him biology, and Luo suddenly fell asleep. Later, Luo woke up. He found himself on the bed, but Lamy wasn't there, and he suddenly remembered he needed to do homework. But when he went to do homework, he saw that his homework had been completed by Lamy, and she left a note for him saying that this is the only time she is helping him. Luo arrived at an important place, and he was nervous to enter the place. When he did enter, he was informed that his summer job as a lifeguard at a swimming pool had been cancelled, but that a new job as a cleaner had been arranged for him. Luo hated it because the only reason he wanted to become a lifeguard was to get handsome and manly, and there's no fun in being a cleaner. Nonetheless, he still went to his job, and there he met with a man called Zhang, who welcomed him to his new job and gave him a uniform. Luo was happy to see how supportive the uncle was. He changed his uniform and began to clean. He was cleaning when he suddenly noticed that two people were fighting. Luo secretly began to watch them to find out what the matter was. He saw Zhang Yun with a guy he had never seen, but the guy seemed to force her into something. The girl kept on saying that they had broken up and that he should leave her alone. Seeing her struggling, Luo interfered and stopped the guy from hitting Zhang Yun. He told her not to do that. The guy became angry and told him not to interfere in their personal matters, but Luo reminded him that they were at the place where Luo was doing his study, and if the guy didn't leave, he would have to call others to kick him out. The guy didn't like the warning from Luo, but when Luo began to chase him, he ran away. After the guy left, Luo turned to the girl and asked her if she was alright. Zhang Yun asked him what was up with his uniform and what he was doing here. Luo told her it was nothing, as he was just doing a summer job there. Suddenly the rain began to fall, and they both rushed to Luo's car. In the car, Zhang Yun told Luo that she couldn't return to her house right now as she would be scolded, so she asked Luo if she could dry her clothes in Luo's house. It was still raining heavily when they both reached home. Luo asked her to be comfortable as it was like her own home, and he also apologized for it being messy. Zhang didn't care about the mess as it was her first time being in Luo's house, and she was happy that Luo provided her with shelter from the rain, which was truly more than enough for her. Luo asked her to sit comfortably while he brought her a cup of warm water. Zhang sat down and began to play with the cat Luo owned. She told him that she didn't know Luo owned a cat or that he was the type of person who liked cats. Luo told her that he must have felt like having a cat, and it all happened quickly. Luo brought her some dry clothes and asked her to take a shower and change clothes because she would get sick otherwise. Zhang once again thanked Luo, took off his clothes, and went straight to the bathroom. This was the moment when Luo realized he messed up by bringing her home, and then suddenly his stomach hurt, and he realized he was hungry and must prepare food for both of them. Zhang returned from the bathroom after changing the clothes, and when Luo saw her, he felt shy seeing her beauty. He told her that he had prepared noodles for both of them and that she would like to eat them. Zhang said yes, and then they both sat down to eat the noodles. While eating noodles, Zhang noticed something. It was the one she gifted Luo a long time ago, and she felt happy that Luo was still using it. Nervously, Luo told her that the pen he gave her had a very good grip, which is why he is still using it. Zhang noticed the bandage on Luo's hand, so she asked him what happened to him. Luo couldn't tell her the truth, so he lied and said that he has a skin allergy. After they finished eating, Zhang went up and began to clean the fish. Luo tried to stop her because he couldn't let his guests clean in his house, but Zhang told him that it was alright. Suddenly Luo's hand got wet, and he began to remove his bandages. At the same time, the cat caused Zhang to fall, and Luo immediately rushed to save her. By accident, he transformed her into a girl. Luo, Zhang, and the newly summoned girl sat down for a discussion. There was a silence before Zhang spoke. She asked Luo for an explanation for whatever happened. She had no idea where that little girl came from, and she wanted to know the truth. Luo was nervous about telling her anything. He agreed to tell her the truth, but he asked her to promise that she would not believe he was being delusional. Luo explained to her that the little girl is her clothes, and that is why she looks exactly like them. Zhang thought, how is this even possible? And Luo told her that he has a new superpower. The word superpower rang in her head, as it wasn't possible in reality for her. She reminded Luo that he doesn't live in some comic book, and it's a real world, so it isn't possible. Luo tried to explain to her that he has a special superpower that transforms objects into girls. The power of transforming a girl into an object was awkward even for Zhang, and she couldn't believe such a thing could exist. Luo then demanded help from her, which was to keep his power a secret. Zhang was surprised by his request because, for her, Luo wasn't the type of guy who wouldn't want to show off, especially if he has a superpower. But anyway, she agreed to keep it secret, and then she asked him what he was going to do about the little girl that was summoned and how he would take care of her. Luo told her that there's nothing to worry about, as the girl will transform back in due time. Zhang then wanted to ask Luo something else, but she stopped herself because she was feeling embarrassed. She then casually asked him what time it was, and Luo told her that it was almost midnight, which freaked her out because her parents were strict and wouldn't let it slide. Luo then offered her to spend the night in his house, as he would not mind her company. The idea was good, but Zhang couldn't agree to it because of her parents, so Luo asked her what they must do and what would be the best possible option. Zhang told him that she could spend the night with him, but there was something more important she wanted to tell him, and suddenly she confessed to Luo and asked him to be her boyfriend. The request was out of the box for Luo, as he hadn't expected it from Zhang, but at the same time he thought to himself, could it be possible that he is getting popular with the girls, or he was always like it but failed to realize his potential? Luo refused to waste much time thinking, as there was a problem right in front of him. Luo asked her why she suddenly wanted him to be her boyfriend and if there was any specific reason for that. Zhang explained that there won't be any problem if she spends a night with her boyfriend, and her parents won't mind in that way. Her idea was to make Luo her shield against her parents, and that way she could obtain a new kind of boyfriend, so basically it would be like a fake boyfriend. The word fake boyfriend made Luo relax a bit, and he agreed to help her in her little lie. But she then told him that he wished that Luo pretend to be her boyfriend during the day too, so everyone would stop bothering her. Luo nervously asked her what the day was like too, as he could only see her this time. She reminded him how difficult her ex-boyfriend is, and she believes he will bother her again too, so she needs someone who could protect her from such a situation. Luo couldn't refuse her request and agreed to become her boyfriend. After their decision was final, Zhang asked Luo if he had decided on a name for the girl, and Luo told her that he was thinking of naming her Yiyi. The name Yiyi sounded boring to Zhang, and she believed the only reason he named her that was because she was just a piece of cloth. Luo confessed to her that he is not an expert in naming girls, and Zhang concluded that Luo must have named all the summoned girls in the same boring way, which was true, and Luo knew it. Luo then reminded her that it's getting late and they both should go to sleep now. The next morning, Zhang was all ready to leave, and Luo asked her if he should come with her, but Zhang told him that he could go by herself. She then leaned forward and asked Luo if Yiyi had transformed back. Luo was completely shocked after hearing her question. He told her yes, she had transformed back into a piece of cloth, and after hearing it, Zhang left, stating that she wishes to meet Yiyi again, and Luo promised her that he would help her in that. As Luo watched Zhang walk away, his mind was still wondering how she remembered Yiyi if the girl had transformed back into her original state. The only one besides Luo who could remember girls was his mother, but she was related to him by blood, but that isn't the case with Zhang. Yet she remembers the girl. The whole situation made Luo overthink, as he wanted to learn the truth and find one more important rule of his superpower. Luo was sleeping carefree when suddenly someone began to knock on his door. In a mood, Luo went to open the door, and he saw a little girl there, and he asked her what the matter was. The girl told him that she has invited her friends to play video games, but her television is not working, so she wonders if Luo could lend his TV to her for a day, and then she will return it to him. Luo told her that he has no problem helping her, but the problem is that he doesn't have a television. The girl immediately reacted in shock because she couldn't believe that there were still people out there who didn't own a television. The disappointed girl left, and Luo closed his door again. He was angry because he couldn't think of a reason why he should own a television set, as he already has a monitor. He was walking back to sleep when suddenly someone began to knock on the door again. Angrily, Luo opened it again, and he saw a parcel boy who delivered him a parcel. When Luo opened it, he saw an old television set and a letter from his mom. Luo realized that his mom had sent her old television to him. When he tried to run it, the television failed to work correctly. Luo understood that the mom wanted him to fix the television, and that's the thing he should do, as that's the only way he can use the TV. He had an idea in his mind, so he used his superpower and transformed the TV into a girl, and suddenly the girl summoned. She immediately recognized her master, and Luo was glad for that. He noticed that her health was not good, and that could be the reason for her not functioning properly. Luo thought to himself how some objects survive hundreds of years but some only a few. His realization changed his perspective, and he promised the TV girl that he would love her no matter what, and the girl was happy that someone cared for her. Luo asked her if she knew what the outside world was like, and she had no idea because she only saw the world via the signals. Luo then told her that he could take her outside if she wished to, and the girl agreed. She was excited for it and asked if they could go outside today and right away, and Luo gave her a surprised reaction because he didn't think she would demand going outside right away. Luo couldn't refuse her request, so he told her that he had nothing planned and they could go outside. This information was enough for the television girl to grab Luo's hand and take him outside. The television girl was very happy to see the outside world with her own eyes, and she was able to recognize places from her memories. She was able to identify the restaurant and the hotel, which she mistaken for a place where couples go on dates. Luo then told her to keep her voice low and that she shouldn't say such things in public. Luo knew that the girl was overly excited to see the outside world. He then took her into a nearby shopping mall, and there the girl saw a dress that attracted her attention. Luo saw her liking the dress and asked her if she would like to try it. When the girl tried it, she looked very beautiful, and Luo decided to buy her that dress as a gift. The girl was happy after she got a dress and was enjoying her time with Luo very much. They both then get approached by a girl who suddenly offers them a chance to participate in a cosplay competition. Cosplaying was something the girl knew about, but Luo forced her to try it, as it would be a great experience for her. The girl then agreed and began to test various kinds of dresses, and Luo was glad to see her enjoying the time. The cosplay girl then asked Luo if he would like a couple's photo, and the photo would be sent to his email. Luo agreed, and they took a photo together. Later, the television girl told Luo how much she enjoyed her time with Luo, and she is very happy and has no regrets. After saying it, she vanished into thin air. Later, Luo sat down alone. He wondered about the television girl because her original clothes disappeared too. He could not stop thinking about her and the words she said before vanishing into the air. Her words had a great impact on Luo's mind, and he needed to do something to divert his attention. The next day, Luo took Nikki to a shopping mall, and when she asked why they had both suddenly arrived there, he told her that he wanted to buy some clothes for her. Nikki told her that she already liked her clothes because her brother bought them for her. Luo felt embarrassed about it because it was only a phone cover. Luo told her that the clothes she is wearing are cute, no doubt, but they are boring, so she should buy some new clothes for her. When Nikki saw the clothes, her reaction was good for Luo. She was happy to see a lot of clothes but struggled to choose for herself, so she sought the help of Luo. Luo, being the good big brother, began to sort clothes for her. Nikki was getting anxious seeing Luo being way too excited about choosing clothes. Finally, she tried a pair of clothes, but when she came out of the changing room, Luo got shocked seeing her bloody appearance. He immediately told her to go back inside and wait until he brought a pair of pants for her because he did not want others to see her like this. That night, Luo was working on his computer when suddenly he felt hungry, but the worst feeling was the realization that he doesn't have any food at home because he already ate all the noodles. His hunger was increasing, so Luo decided that he will go out and buy some food from the market. It was about 11 p.m. when he left his mom, but soon he noticed that he is missing his hand bandage, but he already transformed Nikki that day, so he will be safe once he return home before midnight. Luo then bought himself some cup noodles, but the thought was eating noodles was very troublesome for him, but then he noticed a nearby shop of steak and rice and an idea came to his mind. He checked the time and came to conclusion that he has enough time to eat the food here and return home, and he did so. He enjoyed the dinner and began to walk back home. When he looked into his phone, he saw the time was running out, so Luo began to walk fast, but then he saw a couple enjoying themselves and flirting in open public. Luo thought to himself that how irresponsible the couples are for doing such things in public. Suddenly he lost his balance and was about to fall, but at the last he saved himself, but the bigger tragedy was awaiting him. He took the supportive wall to stop himself from falling, and the time was midnight. The power did its work and Luo accidentally transformed entire building into a girl. The whole structure vanished as everyone couldn't understand what happened. Luo fell down in a giant hole and found himself with a girl who was looking very innocent. The whole area was sealed by the police and interrogation began. Everyone was being interrogated by the police. When Luo's turn came, he told police that he was just passing by the scene when it all happened. And when police turned to the building girl to interrogate her, she turned her face away in a disrespectful manner. Luo handled the situation by mentioning to the police officer that the girl is his sister, and she is in great shock after witnessing such a bizarre event. The police officer was allowed to let them go after checking Luo's ID. Luo then hid with the building girl, and she wasn't interested in anything but told Luo that she knew her from the time he stopped 2 car thieves. Luo's memory refreshed, and he remembered that scene well too. Luo told her about his superpower of transforming objects into girls and that she was the product of his superpower too. Luo was blaming himself for causing such a situation, and the girl agreed and made fun of him for being so reckless. Luo noticed that this time the girl has a very unfriendly personality, and then he saw a large crowd gathering. And the couple he saw earlier were telling everyone that a light came, the building vanished, and everything was done by aliens. It was a big problem for Luo because the crowd would stop him from turning everything back to normal, and he needed help. Luo turned to the building girl and asked her to help him, and she asked him why she should help him. Luo tried to make her understand that she couldn't be in the open for long as it would cause more problems. The girl finally agreed, and they both planned an act. Building girl came in front of the crowd and told everyone that she was just a spaceship in the air, and Luo followed her act. And together they fooled the entire crowd into chasing something that doesn't exist. While the crowd went away, she transformed back into a building, and nobody noticed. One day Luo was at the ship dock, and he was waiting for Zhang because she told him that she had won a prize of luxurious cruise ship tickets and wanted to go out with Luo so they could both enjoy themselves. Luo was eagerly waiting for her alone there, and suddenly someone covered his eyes, and it was none other than Zhang who finally arrived there. She surprised him, and then they both went to board the ship. The ship was huge, and Zhang was surprised by its enormous size. At the same time, Luo noticed that there was a huge crowd gathering. He heard the arguments that the ship captain isn't allowing anyone to board the ship before tomorrow because of some problems. Luo learned this fact too, and he was disappointed with Zhang because they both had no idea what to do in the meantime. Zhang went straight to shop for some items for herself, and Luo followed her around. After a while, they were both finally able to enter the ship, and Zhang immediately laid down on the bed because of his tiredness. The room had only one bed, and this worried Luo, so he asked Zhang where he would sleep now, and the girl offered to let her sleep on the bed. Luo immediately refused the idea, stating that he couldn't sleep with her because he liked a different girl. This came as a shock to Zhang, and she immediately asked him about this girl he likes. Luo was hesitant to tell her anything, so she assumed it must be one of his transformations, and Luo failed to hide his lie. He told her that it's his smartphone that he likes, and Zhang demanded to meet the girl. Luo knew he couldn't defeat Zhang in an argument, so he summoned Nikki to show her. Zhang immediately became friendly with Nikki upon summoning her, and told her that she could call her sister, and they would sleep together on the bed. Nikki couldn't understand the situation completely, but she still managed to ask Zhang the right question. She asked, "Where will the big brother sleep?" Zhang jokingly answered her by saying that they could manage him in the middle and it would be fine for him. Luo imagined himself in the middle of the girls, but he did not want that to happen, so he refused Zhang's offer. Nikki noticed something and asked Luo where they were because, according to her, this isn't Luo's room and they must be somewhere else. Luo cleared her doubts by revealing they were indeed not in his room but on a ship because Zhang won the tickets in a contest. Zhang told Nikki that they were in the middle of the sea, but Nikki had no idea what a sea was. Zhang offered her that they could go and watch the sea from closer, but Luo reminded them that they should sleep early and watch the sea in the morning because then it would be easily visible. They both ignored Luo's suggestion and went outside to look at the sea. Nikki saw the sea for the first time with her eyes, and she was very happy, and Luo was very happy for her. She then requested that Luo bring her back to the beach in the future too. Luo agreed. Nikki told him that she was going sideways to look, but suddenly she bumped into two men who began to tease her for her cute appearance. Zhang then intervened and warned both of them, but they didn't listen and began to tease both Nikki and Zhang. And when Luo tried to stop them from doing so, they threw him around. Luo felt helpless, but he had his power, and he picked up his ship toy, which he had bought earlier, and used his power. Luo's power worked again and a girl summoned. It was little shocking for Luo as he already summoned Nikki that day, so he was able to summon one more girl. The guys who were teasing girls saw the sailor girl appearing out of nowhere too, and they basically found their new target. They called the sailor girl cute and began to tease her. The sailor girl was still calm and collected and she didn't care about the comments for her, but she did ask Luo if he wishes to teach these guys a lesson for talking bad about him. Luo then realized that he got his hands on something special, so he granted the permission. As soon as she got the permission, the sailor girl beat the hell out of both the guys instantly. Suddenly the ship caretakers arrived there after hearing the noise and Luo, and the whole group ran away from their back to room. Upon reaching the room, Nikki and Zhang went straight to sleep while Luo sat down, wondering in his thoughts, and the sailor girl continued to stare at her. He calmly asked her not to stare at him in such a way as it is very awkward. She then gently asked Luo for any instructions, but Luo had none and the whole situation was very awkward for him. Next morning, Luo woke up and found a toy ship on the place of the sailor girl, indicating that she had transformed back, which meant Nikki did too, and when he looked on the bed, he saw his smartphone and Zhang sleeping. He looked at her sleeping state and thought how nice her figure was. Suddenly she woke up, and Luo said, "Good morning." He was too nervous to even talk to her, so he ran away to clean himself. Later that morning, when they were both having breakfast, an announcement happened that the ship would soon reach Japan, so they all had to prepare themselves for that. Luo had no idea that the ship was going to Japan because he hadn't bothered to check the tickets. Zhang told him that they wouldn't stay in Japan for much longer, but Luo was excited nonetheless because he would be able to buy all his favorite action figures from there. His face was clearly happy, and Zhang thought he had gone mad. Later, she asked Luo to summon Nikki because she is his girlfriend and it's the perfect time for them to spend their time together. Luo did so and summoned Nikki, but just after summoning her, Zhang and Nikki began to experience all the places on the cruise, and Luo just followed them. Later, they were having dinner when they saw a group of people fighting each other in the dinner hall. Luo and Zhang finally arrived in Japan. They both took a train to explore Japan, and Luo was very happy because his dream of visiting Japan was finally coming true. They both went on to visit a lot of places, including monuments. Finally, after a tiresome day, they reached the hotel, and it was a Japanese-style room, which further increased Luo's excitement. He saw that the room was just like the one he saw in anime, and he couldn't stop himself from staring at it. Luo then noticed that the room only has one bed, and he began to imagine himself sleeping with Zhang, who was aware of his bizarre behavior. Zhang then told him about the hot springs at the hotel and why they should visit them. Luo was ready, as he really wanted to spend more alone time with Zhang. His plan was shattered when Zhang demanded to summon Nikki because she wanted someone to accompany her to the female hot spring. Luo's ambitions went in vain, and he had to fulfill her request. Later, the group split for the hot springs, and Nikki Zhang enjoyed herself. Zhang asked Nikki if she was enjoying it. Nikki told her she is enjoying it, but the water is a little more hot than usual. This experience was something new for her. They were both relaxing and enjoying themselves when suddenly Nikki noticed Zhang's chest, and she asked her if she could touch it. The question was unexpected from a smartphone-turned girl, and this shocked Zhang. She asked why Nikki wanted to do such a thing, and Nikki gave her the reason that her chest is very small compared to hers, so she wishes to feel something like that. It was embarrassing for Zhang, but deep down she did not want to let Nikki down, so even if she hated it, Zhang agreed to let Nikki touch her chest for once. She allowed it, and Nikki proceeded. When Nikki touched her chest, Zhang immediately screamed in a weird way. After this bizarre event, Zhang told Nikki that they should leave now because it's getting late. At the same time, Luo was alone in the male section of the hot spring, and he really wanted to be with the girl, but his desire was unfulfilled. After both Luo and Zhang completed their trip to Japan, they boarded a plane to return. Luo was very nervous and scared, but Zhang asked her why he was scared now when he was the one who asked Zhang to upgrade tickets to an airplane for their return. Luo was grabbing Zhang's hand tightly to ease his fear, and she was really struggling to calm him down. Zhang then gave him the suggestion that he should sleep, and once they landed, she would wake him up. Luo calculated his decision and agreed that sleeping would be much better, but he told Zhang that he would still hold her hand and wouldn't take a risk. Luo then slept, and the next time he woke up, his world was turned around as Zhang told him that the plane had some kind of problem and there was a panic in the atmosphere. Scared and anxious, Luo was wondering if he would die like that with all the other passengers, but he simply did not want to die. And now there was only one way he could save himself and Zhang. He immediately removed his bandage and touched the plan to transform it into a girl. The girl was summoned, but it was then that Luo realized he had messed up again because the moment the plane transformed, everyone, including him and Zhang, fell down from it, and they were waiting for their deaths when suddenly Luo woke up. He woke up with a scream, and everyone was staring at his weird behavior. Luo realized it was all just a dream, and to fix the situation, he told everyone that he was just having a nightmare. It was embarrassing for Luo, but far better than getting killed in an airplane accident. The plane landed, and they returned to their home city. In the middle of the night, Luo thanked Zhang for fulfilling his dream and said that he would never forget her kindness in his entire life. Zhang was very happy for him, and Luo asked her how she wishes to return home and if she needs his help in that. Zhang liked his concern, but she told him that her father was on the way to pick her up and she would return with ease. Finally, a car stopped, and the man driving it gave a death stare to Luo, but he didn't say a word. Zhang bid her goodbye to Luo and left with her dad, and it looked like the dad really hated Luo. Luo couldn't understand the awkward exchange, but he forgot about it and returned to his home. He was very worried about Mimi, and upon returning, he saw his room as a big mess and Mimi nowhere to be found. And this is when his anxiety skyrocketed. Luo was sleeping when suddenly his phone rang, and he picked it up in his usual bad mood. Zhang reminded him that it's alright at 9 AM, and he shouldn't sleep so late, and then he told him that she bought a gift for him during their trip to Japan but forgot to give it to him. So now she has parceled it, and the courier will arrive today. Luo had no idea about the gift, but suddenly his bell rang, and he rushed to take the parcel. Curiously, Luo opened it and saw a gift. The gift was a made anime action figure, and it was the perfect gift for him. His eyes became wet with happiness at seeing such a good gift, and he couldn't thank Zhang enough for caring for him. He was excited to examine the toy, so he pulled it out, but suddenly the light emerged and the toy transformed into a real-life maid. Luo couldn't believe how it happened because his hand was covered, but when he carefully looked, he saw a small gap in his bandages, and it caused the transformation of the toy. The maid girl was intelligent, and she immediately recognized him as her master. When Luo heard the words from her mouth, he shed more tears of happiness because it was his lifelong dream to be called master by a maid. The next thing Luo had to do was decide on a name, And this time he didn't put much effort into it and just called it Tsukuheim because that was the toy's original name. Tsukuheim told Luo that she has no problem if Luo wants to name her something because he is her master and she will do anything to satisfy him. But Luo was okay with the existing name because his naming skills were not that good. Tsukuheim then immediately got up and asked Luo if he wanted her to do anything like household chores because she was ready to serve and obey him. Luo still had no idea that the girl he transformed would be able to do such a thing. Tsukuheim was excited, and she told him that she was going to bring out tools and start working. Luo failed to say anything because he had no idea how he should react. The summoning of the maid girl was unexpected. Tsukuheim quickly cleaned the entire apartment of Luo, and it was looking better than ever. Luo couldn't believe his eyes that someone could clean his messy room. He thanked Tsukuheim for her effort, and he was imagining how he should summon Tsukuheim more often to help him with household work. But why should he stop there when he can summon more anime girls and build his own personal caretaker group made of girls, and he will enjoy his life like a king. Tsukuheim was watching her master in a happy mood, and she was glad for it. Then she asked Luo if there was anything else she should do, and Luo's stomach was making hungry noises, which was a perfect indicator for Tsukuheim on what she should do next. She decided that she would feed Luo, but Luo asked her if she even knew how to cook. Tsukuheim cleared his doubts by saying that a perfect maid should know how to cook, otherwise, she is not a good maid. She asked Luo to wait while she prepared something to eat. Tsukuheim left for the kitchen, but she quickly returned because there was a problem. She explained to Luo that besides noodles, there's nothing to cook or eat. Luo realized how careless he is. Tsukuheim had a perfect solution, and she told Luo that she could easily go and buy groceries from the market. But Luo stopped her and asked her to cook noodles instead and use eggs from the fridge. Tsukuheim was skeptical because the noodles were not healthy, but Luo told her that it's alright because he is very hungry and he will buy healthy groceries next time. Tsukuheim had no problem with that, and she returned to cook. Luo was waiting patiently for her to cook, and suddenly he heard a large scream, and he rushed to see what happened. He saw Tsukuheim on the ground in pain because she accidentally burned her finger. Luo immediately helped her by applying cold water to her finger. When Luo was helping her, she felt a little embarrassed because a maid should take care of her master, but here the roles were reversed. She thanked him for his effort, and Luo told her he wants to return the favor for her kindness and how she is cooking lunch for him. And that's how the first part of this manhwa ends. Well guys, if you like this video and you want a second part, comment below with the word part 2. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell and like the video. But most important, leave a comment. Until the next video.